Let's start this out with a little music.
Who got put their guy?
Okay, let's start it off like that. Let's dedicate to my mom. All her exes live in Texas. Not all of them, just the main one. Cowboy. Cowboys, Texas, you know. I am glad this is the last one. This is some kind of ugly stuff to talk about. Finding the queuing up the third video here, should be right here. Cowboy Part 3. Alright. Let's adjust the volume here. I know nobody's watching, so I can take my time and just do it to it. So leaving off from where we did yesterday, which I had to go and take a nap after that. Felt good to take a nap. Sometimes when you talk about these kind of traumas and stuff, like many many people do on YouTube, it's not necessarily a bad thing. but uh, it is a something that I became aware of, that like talking about it publicly on your own TV channel, station, whatever you want to call it, you do find an audience. And if you're talking about trauma, a lot of times the audience has trauma. So you become a trauma community. And good morning, Mandy. Comment ça va? Très bien, c'est in New Orleans, Louisiana. Uh, so yeah, if you're on YouTube or have your own little, it's crazy to think about, because when I was a kid, all I want, one of the many imaginative things that me and my friend would come up with, or me and some friends would be like, what if we had our own TV show, or a broadcast network, or whatever. Well, I mean, it's pretty easy to have these days, even with just a phone. So that's kind of crazy, really, when you think about it, when you start opening up to the public, because you don't feel like there's anyone in your life that you can talk to about certain things, for whatever reason, whether it's faux pas, taboo, we don't want to hear about it, we have a different opinion of it. It's, you know, it is important to take time, to really consider what it is you're doing, because it's, other people's trauma as well. Anyways, trigger warning as usual for this video. But I'm really glad to be going through the last part of it, because these have taken way longer than I would like to have in my little self-analysis thing. But it is a, yeah, pretty significant uh, part of it. So this is the last one of the Cowboy videos, which I'm grateful that it is the last, but I'm not going to rush it. I'm going to go through as I did the other two, and and sort of reflect on this stuff. Do, do, do. And hey, witness. It wasn't very positive. And also, even regardless of what I wanted to admit or not, I was still very codependent. And to be quite frank, as I've said before, but up until now, I guess you guys really haven't had the information. But my life before Scientology was much more traumatic and abusive than Scientology itself was. Now, Scientology was the icing on the cake, and after a long life of that kind of craziness, just was sort of additive. Didn't do much good. Wasn't a good thing to do. Scientology is not a good thing to do, in case you haven't figured that out from my videos and everyone else's. So at this point, it was 2017, right? It was established in the earlier videos, and I'm just sort of saying that, after I went to Jackson and came back, and it's just so funny. I'm not funny. Like, I'm smoking cigarettes like crazy. I got cancer still. I'm glad that I don't smoke anymore. It wasn't helping. I'm not saying it caused the cancer, but stress definitely has a huge factor in that, and inflammation, and the smoking doesn't help. But yeah, like up until Scientology, it was, you know, a rough start already. And when I got into Scientology, it felt like mm, it did feel like things were starting to even out for me. Uh, because there was some structure. There were people who accepted me. Um, I thought, you know, and yeah, it was reinforced with my brother, who was a very strong connection. To it's all kind of tied in together with this cowboy stuff because he, you know, was trying to kill my brother before he was born and threatening my brother's adoptive parents to keep them away from us and to keep my mother paralyzed in fear to not reach out, to not try and get the baby back. And and so there was a deep rooted, I don't want to say subconscious, but so there's some deep rooted stuff that because my brother and I were essentially recruited and brought into Scientology together, that they definitely took advantage of our history. Because in these sessions where you go to get regged for the first time, or if they're trying to really get you in, you may spend 2 3 hours talking to a person and telling them everything about your life after you do your little OCA test. That's where they find your ruin. Well, if you have a lot of stories like what I've described in these videos about Cowboy, or any other domestic violence experience or heavy trauma, or even just like regular things that people have issues with, like, oh, I can't meet girls, or I don't know how to talk to boys, or I don't know this, that. Those things can be exploited, even those little things. But it's the really traumatic things that can be heavily exploited because you can really get someone in in it to win it and believing and having purpose and attributing that to this destructive force. I haven't talked a lot about Scientology up until this point in the Cowboy videos, but that is my aspersion, and we will continue.
But the subject, and the content of the book, sort of the dichotomy of both of my fathers and how it contributes to how welcome I felt in Scientology, and how in a lot of ways, uh, comparatively, it was a positive experience. Um,
Really, there is no book. I haven't published anything, but you know, the I keep notebooks all the time that I write in. So a lot of that was written in notebooks. Some of it was typed up. I don't know where it is. It's probably in a Google Drive somewhere.
and comparatively, it wasn't as abusive. My hope is that in the book,
Now, just to clarify, you know, there were a lot of things that other people who have been in the Sea Org and in international management in Scientology who have seen way more things than I have. But in general, it's kind of kept away from the public eye and even away from some of the uh, staff in Sea Org and international management they try to compartmentalize everything and keep it on a need to know basis and stuff. So, um, a lot of times for me, I realized that abuse was going on right in front of my face the whole damn time, and I did not realize it. Well, that was also the case, before. So it really took me a long time because whenever you get accustomed to it, are you supposed to know any different? Um, you know, I don't know. Education didn't seem to help. I did get quite a bit of education before I left uh, Scientology, but I got probably more. It was more effective afterwards. I don't know. Those are my aspersions there.
Uh, it'll help and maybe inspire some people. And I'm, if I had,
That seems a little ambitious to want to inspire people, but what I think there is in value for people on YouTube with their own TV station or whatever you want to call it, channel, is that stories are important. It's why we watch movies. It's why we love movies. It's why we like music. Um, because we can relate to the stories. Not everyone wants to tell their story, and that's okay. There was a person in the last video that commented a very thoughtful comment that I appreciate a lot, and I responded to it in the beginning of the last video. And this person has experienced an immense amount of trauma, and they don't feel the need to go out and talk about it. And that's like fine, you know. Um, I did because I felt like I didn't have anyone to talk to about it in my network of friends or family that would really either listen or accept or try to comprehend. So it's a force projector to make a YouTube channel. You can It's a military term, force projection. What it means in this sense, or what I mean by it in this sense, is that if you need someone to talk to, and you don't have anyone in your vicinity that you can talk to that will listen or that will try to comprehend, then that's okay. You don't have to like make them or want them to talk about it. You can just use a force projection through the technology that we have. And so broadcasting or doing videos and posting them on YouTube was a way to force project what I wanted to talk about and see. It's a message in a bottle, really, you know. And sure enough, you know, there were bottles on the shore. More aspersions. Good morning, naturism at Clearwater Beach. I do feel good.
um, if I could keep a running tally of how many people have told me I should write a book, like friends and family members, and just random people, that I talk to.
That's funny because like speaking again on the talking about stuff, they're like you should just write a book. You should just write a book so I can read that and be done with it.
People that are going through a hard time, Uh, I've had a lot of people say, you know what, Marcus, you really helped me. Why don't you write a book? You could write a book about your life. Well, my counselor, Miss Lockhart, was telling me that when I was 15 years old. You could really help people. So I've been afraid a long time to talk about this because it's such an intimate, personal issue with my family. You know, it's not Scientology where I could care less if a Scientologist wants to disconnect from me. I don't have any family in Scientology. But
I do have some friends still, unfortunately.
talking about this kind of abuse, which in many cases, many scenarios I've been through, is worse than Scientology. I've been afraid that if I do tell my story, that I'll be shunned from my own family. And there's people I love in my family. I love my family.
Well, I mean, at this point, families just busted up like a real good. Like a couple sledgehammers came along, a couple hurricanes, a couple more issues with Cowboy interfering with people's children, with my nephew, my nieces. When it happened to my eldest brother and his first son and his youngest or his oldest son, so my eldest brother with his firstborn, um, it was like no nobody could really believe it. Mom couldn't believe it. Maynard couldn't believe it. And I'm telling them, hey, uh, he's doing it again with Nicholas. And Nicholas was he was in a lot of trouble with the law. Ira's like, I'm gonna get custody of that kid. This was 2017. Nicholas was he's only 20 now or 19, so whatever that is, teenager facing felony charges, going to court, crossing state lines, grand theft auto, stolen weapon, uh, selling illegal sale of firearms, felony charge, um, fleeing the scene of a crime, um, and missing.
And I've been one of those people in the family that's like, oh boy, Marcus is into drugs. Marcus is a Scientologist. Marcus just can't get his shit together. You know, oh, I thought Marcus had his shit together. Now he's divorced and the kids and whatever.
So I was aware of what was coming, and I was telling my family, and that kind of just spelled it out. I'm not a reliable source, especially not to Ira, not to Cowboy, and you know, he had a lot of influence and control. Things are different now, but yeah, like I said, the family busted up like a bunch of concrete foundation of and the basis for all these relationships for 53 years or whatever, how long, just completely crushed now.
I've come to find out that there's a lot of this stuff people don't know. And this past Easter, circling back around, after I left, uh, I was really on the fence about playing music for Easter. That's sort of a thing I do. I go and play music for the family at Easter, and I had already.
It's a tradition here. Confront on Easter, roast a pig, Um, I think we did it for 17 years straight.
At that point, and still, I have set these boundaries between me and Cowboy, and those will remain in place because I can't deal with it anymore. I can't make, I can't change it. Um,
Pretty sure this was before I got Code 10 Seaheed, and I had put in place boundaries. I was in therapy at the time with Angie Leger from Kairos Counseling in Lafayette, and yeah, this was probably before Cowboy threatened to get custody, or during. He was probably doing it under the table without anybody knowing.
I don't want to make him feel guilty. I don't want to hurt him. Have any, I really don't have any ill feelings towards him. Uh, but I don't approve of that kind of behavior, the manipulative behavior. And there's so much more that I could say that would just floor people. It's the
Looking at that now, no, it won't, because people who have experienced it, they know.
extent of the manipulation and control, the need to want to control people. Uh, it goes far beyond what I've said. And it can be sickening. And that's the point, is that I would love for him to get help. It's sick. Sick thing. So yeah, this has been the toughest video for me to make since 2015, because I do fear that some of my family will just say, what an ungrateful little fuck. What an ungrateful little prick. This wonderful man raised a son that wasn't his. He gave him all the love and support.
This was the view, the view of most people in the family. Uh, this photo right here. No zoomy, huh? Can't zoom. Well, anyways, there's Ira Lee, Cowboy. And there's my mother. And there is her sisters. And her sisters in law. And my uncles. And my other uncles. And married into the family. He's deceased. But this is my mother's parents right here. And Ira was very much aware of how important it was for him to do favors and to be a big part of this family because of their connections. The This was not the full picture of the family with all of their kids, his kids, their kids, all her kids, his kids, their child hadn't been born yet, and then Uncle Jerry's big family. You could probably draw it all the way out to here, and that's just the immediate family. All right, so um, he used that sort of as a network for years to do and accomplish whatever it was he wanted. He had access to a bank loan manager that would approve anything for him. Need a loan to buy a motorcycle? Sure. Okay. No problem. Approved. You need a loan to invest. You need a $50,000 loan to invest in a stock. Okay, approved. And oh, you need your niece's speeding ticket fixed. Oh, I'll call Salvador's. You know, or Elvin Parity over at the sheriff's department will get it fixed. No worries. What do you call that? I don't know. What's up, Willie? Let's do this. I'm watching myself smoke so much that, and I don't smoke anymore, thankfully. But I do. I mean, I smoke. I don't smoke cigarettes anymore. All right. I'm feeling like doing a stream on my a broadcast on my other channel, like a curated radio type thing where I go through music of stuff that I've worked on or friends that I know in the music community in South Louisiana, Tennessee, Jackson, Mississippi, Austin, Texas, Houston, Lafayette, some of the stuff in Los Angeles, um, and just sort of talk about, yeah, just do like a little showcase of all the musicians and bands that I like, that I met, that I worked with, or that were in the same community with. Anyways, that was just a thought. All right, here we go.
that a father would.
I'm so glad this is the last one, the last cowboy video. I've been dreading this because I talked to my therapist about it, and it's like, you know, she's very much supportive of what I'm doing, and I talked to her about the whole, when you're doing stuff in public, it's like there's a tension. Like, you guys are here with me. You guys are people. And whenever you put yourself out on say, a public stage, I mean, I know what that's like in a literal sense. So maybe that's what helps give me some figurative sense in knowing that, because speaking of bands and stuff like that, um, when you're a public figure like that, things can go horribly wrong. I mean, I don't, without, I mean, you could pick 1,000 scenarios, or, and come up with, any one thing could be the issue that I see that is most glaring really is the amount of attention and how people respond to attention. Some people respond to attention differently. And when I was young and working with celebrities who were in their 30s, um, pushing 40, or maybe, and some of them in their 40s, country music uh, performers. The most time I spent with one of them that went horribly wrong was a band called um, Ricochet, and they had two hit songs, "Daddy's Money" and "She's Gone," and the attention that the lead singer got, it changed him. It you know not just the attention but the money as well. The amount of money and the amount of attention um, is enough for some people to just like, oh, well, I've got what I want now, and now I can just, do whatever I want and say whatever I want to whoever I want and do whatever I want with my money without any sort of uh, real long-term sense of what it is they're doing. Um, so yeah, the reason that it's helpful is because yeah, it's basically a true self-analysis. This is so funny to me because in Scientology there's a book called Self-Analysis, and you sell it to people, and it's got this corny little like wheel that you use to test yourself, and it's practically worthless. Um, so you know, going back and reflecting on things that I've documented, because as I stated before, the reason I was documenting this stuff was because there was so much going on already, and then something on top of that, and it's just like, whoa, I didn't have much time. Look at my hair. I mean, I'm working, or I am trying to do whatever work that I can after the surgeries and stuff, which was like drive for Lyft and do odd jobs with my buddy Jeremy Bouillon. We did vinyl siding and stuff like that, and uh, interior home repairs, stuff that I could do as a helper and not really have to. I mean, we carry stuff, but Jeremy's a big old guy; he could handle a lot. So I'm exhausted. I'm tired in this video, but I've got to. I'm making this as an archive for me to look back on for the purpose of what I knew was going to end up being some sort of therapy thing. So, but I also published it. So, um, not all of these videos are still published, but I'm going back through them in this fashion because it's messy otherwise. It gets very messy, and people were very concerned and worried. So, um, maybe a second career at a metal band. I started with metal, but you know, and yes, Mandy, obviously, anyone that's here is supporting, um, playing a supporting role. Um, absolutely. So, and yeah, I wish there was a way that I could support everyone else, but like I said earlier, maybe with stories, you know, it is important for people to hear stories, and not everyone has to tell them, um, but they give us hope. They give us, uh, they can sometimes make us cry, sometimes make us feel happy, sometimes whatever. Stories, but you know, that's about that's about what I got. Let's go. Let's continue.
Yep.
I have heard a hard. There are, believe it or not, there's a band called Zydecajan, or no, mm, I'll have to look them up. Um, Zydepunks, the Zydepunks. Um, yeah, Roger that, Bach, buddy. You're 10-7. Got people on your back door. Um, Zydapunk, the Zydepunks. We used to play with them here. They're from New Orleans, and interesting mix of hardcore and Zydeco. Definitely check it out. I might be able to play it.
But I can't even begin to explain the feelings of inferiority, not good enough, um,
Oh boy, this is so fucking
trying to
fun.
make someone proud, and all this. Like, it's been a lifetime of,
And that ain't no bullshit, man. I really felt super. I mean, when you get, if you know, you know, I guess. I mean, how small you can feel. Mike Render once said that, it it feels good when you get bumped up a peg because you might be just a molecule, but you could get bumped down to an amoeba. And I thought that was a great analogous thing for how people can make someone else feel so small and inferior and not have the correct viewpoint at all and completely lost and must follow something else.
Disappointment and failure, feeling like that, because for many years I shared that viewpoint that, wow, what a great guy.
And that's the sad thing, I mean, he was my hero. He was my hero. He saved me, I thought. Um, and but when you get when I got so much other perspective on what really happened as the truth came out over many years, and still is. Uh, Believe it or not, we got an interview. He's so, he can't resist the urge to take credit for what Travis and I have done with the album and the recognition we received from the city of New Orleans and the state libraries. That yeah, that was enough to get him in front of the camera and just like wax poetically about our upbringing and stuff. It's gonna be a very interesting contrast. Hmm.
But I gotta say that any man that would deny uh, a father his right to have a relationship with his child, I mean, even, you know, it's, yeah, nobody's perfect. Dwayne had his problems.
I realize now that's a little idealistic, but at the same time, I also realize that times were different down here back then, and as I showed before, the photo of the family. I'm not saying these people and my papa and my mama were like involved in anything criminal, but this guy right here, and I'm not even trying to be like profiling, but uh, it just stuck out to me one day because I know that look on his face, and that's the face there. I know what I'm doing. I got this situation under control. Um,
But it really wasn't until the wreck that things got really bad because of the medication and the drinking.
and then I'm talking about my biological father now.
And then also something to consider that I didn't consider before was, the things that he was told and some of the things that I haven't said that have happened, like, manipulation and people, Cowboy basically infiltrating his life through other people and fucking with his head, saying things to fuck with his head. Um, my mother and I basically come to the conclusion that, the over medication and stuff, he was just, he died of a broken heart, he never got to have a relationship with me or Travis.
Yeah, this part's really hard for me because I do see my kids on a fairly regular basis. Not as much as I'd like. As much as I would like would be with them all the time. But and I wouldn't. I would probably wouldn't even be here with y'all, which would be fine. Not no dissing y'all, but you know, it's my kids. So my on the contrary, for my father, um, it was less. Now, I talked to my mother recently this week about how much I saw him, and she said, "Well, I tried to make sure he got to see you regularly. I just don't remember it." Now, her seeing or me, her providing access and what that looked like might not have been because like I said, I would if he was there, I would remember. But I think maybe there were times where we would be in the same restaurant and she would go and talk to him, and I would be sitting there, something like that along those lines. She said she did as much as she could to provide access at least every year. Um, oh yeah, Willie. Yeah, okay, now I get what you're saying. So Willie Weed asked, using the abuser's content against him. I had said that I got him on camera because he wanted to gloat over me and Travis's accomplishments and wax, wax poetic about how our upbringing was. And I was very careful and cautious with the questions, but um, along with the help of two friends, were able to the film company in Lafayette. Uh, yeah, it went as like we captured who he is. That's all you can do, and what he wanted to present. And the questions were very, um, respectful. So, um, but what comes out and what others' perspectives are going to provide is so different. But it will be interesting to see. I look forward to editing it when it's all done.
And the things that I remember are just things that he said. There wasn't much time I spent with Dwayne, but he made sure, even in all of his addictions and problems, that the things that he did say to me were the important things. And that's what I cling to. And that's how I had to make peace with him after he died. Because as Cowboy's son, hate was a thing that I learned. Learned to hate.
I was taught to hate. I learned to hate. Be hateful. Not not like just from being around Ira and Cowboy. He's very racist. Um, Extremely racist. I mean, in the '80s, it was if there was someone who was really racist, and there were racists in like a public area, um, say a pharmacy, and there was a person of color in the line ahead of some uh, white people, Ira would be the one to go and scream a racial slur at this person and tell him to get at the back of the line. And nobody in that pharmacy would say a damn thing. People respond to authority. Now, he did not have the authority, obviously, legally, in any way, shape, or form, to tell that person to get out of line and to get to the back of the line and use that racial slur. Get to the back of the line, racial slur. Nobody says anything, but he said it with enough authority, and everyone uh, just went along with it back then. So, but that changed in the 90s. He got, the Rodney King stuff really kind of at work. He started having issues with people at work that he worked with that were people of color. And and he kind of shot himself in the foot at work, and he never got past a certain position because uh, he was reported multiple times for this stuff, and they're like, look, that's not what we're looking for. Um, yeah, I hear you, Beachcomber. It's all good. Uh, it's Friday. I know everyone's working. I just wanted to get this three-part thing done. Uh, it's a comment from Beachcomber. If you're not looking at the live chat, um, responding to that person. So, I mean, I guess it's sort of podcastable um, without even really watching the video. If you can hear it and you can hear me. So, moving on.
just by proxy.
All right, learning the hatred. So, I was taught to fight early, young, and told to not start fights, to never throw the first punch. But once a punch was thrown, all bets are off, and you do maximum damage, as maximum damage as you possibly can, up to killing, or, well, maiming or killing someone. That's the way I was taught to fight.
So, um,
Cynthia says it's a Joe Bob last drive-in night. She's excited. Oh, that makes me excited because when she gets excited, she gets all giddy and cute. All right.
in setting my boundaries with this person, with Cowboy, learning how to love myself again, and
Yeah. So about that, God, this is too much, man. So I'm doing the couchon de lait for probably. I think this was this would have been. I had 2 more years of couchon de lait, so I was doing the couchon de lait that year, and I put together a big old band, me, and we was gonna play the honky tonk and the zydeco and the blues and all that. Um, so, uh, but at the same time, I had, this trailer that I'm in. I have stuff. I have the remains of what's left of my life, which ain't much. Sold damn near everything. No vehicle. Basically, a couple of rooms in that trailer had boxes of stuff in it, and then temporarily Dale and I had to move all of the PA equipment in there for storage, and then we moved that out, and then it became a rental trailer where I could go stay with the renter. And the it's interesting. Mandy said support this. Everyone here such a support. There's a person I went to school with who saw me on the Aaron show and showed her fiance, and the renter in this case was her fiance's nephew. So, but that had happened after she wanted to meet me because she saw that I was on Aaron and was watching all of the growing up in Scientology stuff and the aftermath. And her fiance, my friend from kindergarten, uh, Lisa Gidry, was like, "Yeah, I know him," and it just tripped her fiance out. She was like, her name is Adrian, and she's she was like, "He lives here," and Lisa was like, "Well, I think so. He's kind of like kind of got some shit going on right now," and so we met and we hung out and whatever, and she became a good friend, and her nephew needed a place to stay, and the trailer was, you know, available to rent, and it also provided me a way to have a place to stay to continue to have access to the kids when I could, while I was going through all of this stuff with the medical, traveling, and setting up my boundaries outside of Cowboy. God, one little bit just breaks out. It's like when people use, hey, Willie, you ever remember people selling you a bag of weed back in the day and it looks skimpy and you're like, man, is that 5 grams or whatever? And they're like, yeah, it breaks out. It'll break out. Like it'll, so like the buds are just so dense that they'll. That's what that seemed like. Anyways,
Just learning how to love in general. What prompted all of this is this morning my mother came over and said that Cowboy wanted to buy me a car. I'd rather,
oh, Cowboy wanted to buy me a car. That's right. Fuck.
and this may sound overly prideful, but I'd rather walk or die in a ditch than accept that. Because for Cowboy, money is love. Money is love.
Well, I can't really say that I know that is what he thinks. What I can say is that uh, you're not allowed to disinherit yourself. I found that out. Um, so I don't want. Here's the thing, Ira, because of his ability to, well, look at, he's got a plan. He's got a retirement. He's got investments. He's got his little corporate petrochem jacket on, windbreaker, all kind. He's all decked out with the W.R. Grace stuff, and they he lost a lot of money on that deal, Aaron Brockovich thing, um, and they made a whole movie about it, or maybe it wasn't that one. Maybe it was the John Travolta one. There's one movie about where W.R. Grace gets sued for water poisoning, and they liquidated the company's stock, the employee stock, and paid the fines and restitution, and it took all of it and then some. So he lost about, at that time, $250,000, but he immediately took out a loan from the bank that Papa Perty worked at, and bought a whole shitload of the WR Gray stock while it was bought rock bottom. And I don't know. He's probably got $3 million. Okay, so what do you do? To me, that doesn't mean anything. $3 million, like I don't even have a concept of like $1,000. I mean, I do. I know how easy it is to spend. I've run businesses. I've worked with people in business, social media marketing, stuff. IT. Um, I've worked in a lot of different fields, but um, and every different thing has different amounts of money. It's just percentages to me. So uh, and you can always well, at least my view is if you put the work in and you do good work on whatever it is you do, um, then that's more important to me than money. It's important to like your work, find your work, and then throw yourself into it. because it doesn't feel like work. And I, yeah, I understand not everyone feels that way. People have different. People listen to Dave Ramsey, uh, but yeah, I am just not good at. I've opened 12 businesses. Only one was profitable, and I had to sell it almost immediately as it became profitable. That was part of the thing that I sold. When I look at this dude, I'm just like, yeah, it's the classic jerk story, you know. Except I didn't have the wine glasses at the tennis court, the glass wine glasses with the wine and the water bottle jug on a tennis court. Sorry, I love Steve Martin and I love the jerk. I can't compare myself to Steve Martin. That would be ridiculous.
And I'm not, I'll admit, I know my strengths and weaknesses. I've never been super great with managing money. Um, it's something that I gotta work on. But I've always loved that man. I've always loved Cowboy. And I still love him.
And I can tell right there that I was still grieving, essentially grieving the loss of a loved one. Like it was the love that I have was I do have love for him still, but it's that, like I said, love. I can love the things that I loved that were good, but I can't do it up close. It has to be at a distance. The boundaries have expanded and expanded and expanded.
But I can't accept the very toxic relationship anymore. That part has to be done. And any attempt for him to help me is just allowing him into my sphere, my life, and that.
He wanted to buy me a car. Like, we ain't talked in I don't even know how long. Uh, he's getting custody of my nephew because he says he's gonna fix him. I'm gonna fix that boy. Um, I'm preparing for the worst in that sense, and yes, I was born a poor black child. It's a great way to open a film, especially a comedy. I was born a poor black child in Mississippi, I think is what it is. Um, damn it, what was I saying, Willie? And what are you talking about, Lydia? The civil action film?
Historically has always.
Yeah, you want to buy me a car. Hey, you need a car. I'll buy you a car. No, um, that's fine. I'm good. I'll walk.
Led me back to a place of not feeling good enough, uh, and owing him. It's why I never asked him for money. If I needed money, I'd ask my mother. I asked Cowboy for money during my divorce, and that proved to be more of the same. I have very limited access to the kids, although I'm thankful I have access. But he's the kind of person that believes he knows best, Um, So this is coming from a place of love, not hate or uh,
I will tell you that one of the things that I was doing during this time, because I spent a lot of time in the studio, like just completely sensory deprived, no bathroom, no tiny little fridge, couldn't really keep much perishables there. So I was eating mostly prepackaged food and crackers and stuff like that. And I was listening to uh, a whole lot of Alan Watts, a whole lot. Hey Tish, um, uh, the Dhammapada, a specific reading of the Dhammapada. It's this old '70s recording. I'm sure people used to just sit, smoke some weed, and listen to it. It's what I was doing. Um, and reading some books, some Wayne Dyer, some uh, Dick Manda. I can't remember how to say his name. He's a Vietnamese monk. Um, in other words, I was just delving deep into uh, things like that, Stoicism, um, Seneca, Rumi, all these like philosophers and stuff. So I felt like it was helping me sort of sort some things out, sort of just, you know, breathe, be in the moment, accept what's happening in front of you. Do only what you would not regret. Um, hey, what's up, Miss Bittencourt? There you go. Um, I hope you get some fiber soon. And by fiber, I don't mean dietary fiber. Okay. I was diving deep into all those subjects, and and then I would just sit and just let thoughts blap blap blap. I'd have a thought, let it go. Have a thought, like I would go out and sit on the little porch, tiny, what was 2 steps in front of the studio. Um, Later, I'll do a reflection on that video, and it'll be a lot less involved than this one. But I wanted to get this one just done and over with, the cowboy thing, because it's wrapping up in real life too. Um, it's all fine, but yeah, I felt it was helping me with the situation and learning to create the boundaries just by being able to accept whatever hell it is that I'm living in. Okay, fine. And not consider it a hell. Just sort of like, be like, okay, well, this is all right. What do I need to do? What do I need to do next? What do I need to do next? Moment to moment, moment to moment. And thinking about myself instead of myself through what it's similar to how you got Marcus the Scientologist, Doug the Scientologist, uh, anyone, Jason Begay the Scientologist, Tom Cruise the Scientologist. Your identity becomes absorbed into this other thing. You lose your identity. So I'm using this stuff. Was trying to with breaks to sort it, with breaks to let my thoughts just run wild and let them go um, as they came up so that I could respond with myself in mind as well and create boundaries as needed.
Like, I want to make him sorry for things he's done. No, in fact, I want him to be at peace. And as he's grown older, it's not been that way. Um, he's got a lot of regret. And oddly enough, he's told me a lot. He's told me more than he wanted to tell me. All the things that I've said, some of the heinous things that he's done, when I was in therapy, he admitted to. Now, that was difficult to get him to do, but he did. And I don't think he likes that he did it. In either circumstance, that he did it to begin with, or that he told me that he did it and admitted to it.
So all of the things that I have said, which are, you know, again, this whole thing, these last two, very triggering, trigger warning, is domestic violence stuff, is child abuse stuff, is, you know, aggravated assault, um, infanticide, type stuff, bad stuff. He admitted to it all freely, you know, um, to me. I was in there. One of my first therapists that I had after, during the divorce, it was court ordered, um, and I hadn't seen a therapist since I left Scientology. I've met a couple, but never went to therapy, and but I was ready. I was ready to go to therapy, and actually, we did some therapy before the divorce. So I guess I was doing a little therapy before the divorce. So I was all about it. So I went and saw a guy in Lafayette named Don Short who grew up in a Mennonite, whatever, colony. I don't know what you call them. Community, I guess. Mennonite culture. And his son died in a tragic accident. Heavy, heavy trauma guy. Um, and he said the right thing to me because I got the answers that I needed. I was like, man, you know, my mom has told me I can't ask Ira this. I'm afraid of what might happen. And he says, no, ask him, ask him. Do it in a way that you feel is best, but get your answers now. And I didn't really wait. Um, I went and you know called him and set aside time. I was like, look, I need to ask you some questions about some things, and they're probably not going to be questions you want to answer or like. And bienvenue. Um, and he surprisingly, not only did he tell me things that I needed to know, he told me extra things that didn't relate to the family at all that he did. He had a little confessional. You know, he was a pimp for the fraternity at McNeese in the 70s, basically, and would get the old fraternity or the, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, maybe even 70s fraternity brothers, like in age, uh, women, and roofie them and tell them they were going to gamble on a boat, and it was a docked boat somewhere somewhere down here around the Sabine or maybe the Atchafalaya, not the Chaff, could have been, no, probably wasn't the Atchafalaya, probably the Sabine or the Calcasieu River. And who knows how many women were raped, you know? Raped. He admitted all this stuff and more. And he got away with it all. He's gotten away with it all. He's not in jail. All right.
So, if any of you guys uh, are spiritual or into prayer, I would really appreciate prayers for Cowboy.
Interesting that I would say that at that time. Um, it was probably because the stuff that I was listening to and reading, this type of person, the people that we uh, see doing these horrible things to large groups of people and heart full of hate, um, those are the people uh, that many of these teachings say need the most love, or teaching or whatever. Like, but you know, again, it might just have to be from a distance. Lydia, stand up guy, mad face. I'm assuming you're talking about Cowboy, but I don't know.
Because he has heart problems. He had a widow.
To be fair, like I said, I have good memories, and yes, he could be a stand up guy. Um, that's the thing that's so difficult. It's why he got away with it all. It's why this is how it all happens. This is how they get away with it. Um, they're able to uh, remain undetected.
Maker, when he's 58.
I appreciate y'all. Thank you for that compliment. That's like very kind of you to say. Um, my father was also a very kind man. That was one of the things that when I uh, when I met him at first, before all of the drama happened, and he was so happy to see his son. He was a very kind person, a very giving person, not just to me and my mom, but everybody, anybody he interacted with. Um, so, thank you. That makes me feel like part of him is living on, and the more the better. And my mom would agree because we both miss him a lot.
Um, Holding on to all of that stress and all of those regrets and things is not healthy. And he very much wants to live.
Yeah, mocked. The Yes, I guess it's a complex history where you want to believe in the humanity you hope is left in him. Yeah, I think that's fair for this particular time period, 2017. Um, definitely. Care for JC. It's amazing how people can be and feel polar opposites. Yeah, I mean, there like I've said before, no one believed even the like minutely disturbing stuff about Ira or Cowboy. You know, they couldn't believe it. Like he wouldn't do that. He wouldn't do that. He's very kind to children most of the time, not his own, but uh very helpful. Like he's the kind of guy that would give you his shirt off his back. Like literally. But if you're colored, no. uh Is what it is.
See his grandchildren graduate and grow up, and I'm okay with that. I just don't want him fucking up my kids. And thank God for my mother.
No, Willie, I did not see Sounds of Freedom. Garbage propaganda that actually increased child sex abuse while making it. That's mind-blowingly fucked up. Um, shut up, Commodore. Oh man, don't make me send you back to the hole, man. The Bollard filmmaker withdrew when he learned the truth recently. Um, yeah, that's horrible. That's how could that happen? Have, I don't even know if I want to look into it. Child sex abuse is fucked up, man. I don't talk a lot about mine, but uh, my therapist is like, there might be some stuff you want to talk about. Uh, we'll get there maybe one day. But there was a whole thing with Dwayne where he found out because I told him, and he left a message on my parents, on Ira and Alice, my mom's answering machine, and Ira was gonna go kill the guy. My mom uh, talked him down because it was a neighbor. Yeah, Vice. Okay.
Because I can't, unfortunately, I can't always be with my kids. But she is there for them more than I can be. So,
Yeah, and when I left to go do my medical stuff and was just sort of on the road again, which wasn't an unfamiliar thing. Emancipated at 16, the day I turned 16, and was pretty much on the road for, I don't know, until I was 17, so a year on the road, and then on the road again from 19 to 21, uh, and like really on the road, all the lower 48 in a big bus. Uh, really, really, only someone that age can do that job. Very, very physically demanding and mentally demanding. So it's like hyper focus, hyper strength, just hyper. That's why a lot of people did speed and roadies did speed. They'd say weed, not they say speed, not weed. Um, but yeah, and then basically on the road when you're live you're live. I wasn't on the road in Scientology per se, but there was a lot of back and forth between these basically slum houses from the mission staff housing to my van, sleeping in the van with Travis, um, to sleeping in the mission itself um, for until 2005. Come home, hurricane, on the road. Anyways, I had to be on the road, and I had 50% custody of my kids, and but I was not able to make money. I wasn't employable. I had major medical issues that required two surgeries to fix, and then also another one that needed to heal over the course. A torn Achilles takes about a partially torn Achilles that couldn't be operable because I didn't have the coverage and couldn't get it insured to get the operation. It can take about a year to 18 months to heal, and then you don't really know how it's going to heal. Your recovery is really important, and how you walk, how much activity you do, blah 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 blah. Lots of PT.
If you can, say a prayer for Cowboy. He probably needs it more than anyone I know in my life.
And that's probably still true.
And I love you guys. And if you sat through all this, you know, I'm. I hope that it. I hope that it filled in some of the blanks. You know, I'm aware that when I did the GoFundMe, it's kind of like, what the fuck is going on? What's really going on? Well, there you have it. It's 37 years of that.
So the GoFundMe was for a car. Ira asked by a car. He said, "You need a car." I'm like, "Fuck you." I said, "GoFundMe." Aaron shared it a couple times. It took probably 5 6 months for it to fund, and had it funded quicker, I could have got probably a. It all worked out in the end. I got my vehicle and was able to make it to the places I needed to make it to. So, c'est la vie.
And just like when I left Scientology, I felt so stupid. I felt so stupid. You don't see how horrible it is until you leave, really. You know, it's like, what the fuck was I thinking?
Just before I started this broadcast, I was in Maryland and Kelly Copter and Chad's chat, and they were talking about how it feels to be lied to, by all these people, and I feel I feel like that's relevant here because I felt so stupid when you've been lied to, you know, and you find out the truth. You know, I felt stupid, among other things, but really, really stupid.
Because ultimately, at any point, just like my brother Mark, this is why he is my hero. My brother Mark is my hero. He is like a superhero to me. Because he just said, no, no, I will not tolerate this abuse. And in a lot of ways, he was kind of shunned by the family. I'm not gonna say, I mean, I can't say, I can only say my immediate family, you know. I'm not talking about my cousins or anybody, but I mean, there've been, it's, you know, issues that people have taken with Mark. But he said, no, I will not. And he made a whole new life for himself, a family. He worked very hard.
This is, from when Mark left at age 17, and okay, now it's getting hard not to get emotional about this. So, um, he left home at 17. He had a mentor named Dave Candick, who was in the Boy Scouts and who ran a HVAC company, air conditioner repairs, called Dave's Appliance Repair. And uh, Mark had asked for something one time. I don't know what it was. And he asked for some money from Ira. And he said, well, if you want some money, you need to go to work. And so Mark took that literally and asked Dave Candick, uh, who also ran the Costa Indian Dance Group, um, and he was part of the Boy Scouts Legion, and they worked with the Quasati, the Pueblos, and the Paiute tribes to learn the Native American dances. And so he really liked doing that as a way to get away from home. Basically, he could dance. He was good at dancing, and he learned all of the dances. He became the senior head chief by the time he was 16, and Dave Candick had employed him earlier than that. He started when he was 14 and learned the trade of working on air conditioners, working on refrigerators, washing machines, dryers, etc. So when Mark left, he had a trade, and he just went full balls to the wall and got his commercial contractor license. Uh, and he just basically shot out of the home like a cannonball and just never he hasn't landed yet. He'll land when he's dead. Um, and you know, gosh, I don't know. What am I trying to say? Mark, uh, he was able to, and he had the whatever it is, self-respect, I guess. Somehow, in that environment, he still held on to. And this is similar with Cynthia. She grew up in a Mormon household, and at 16, 17, she was just like, enough is enough. And and she had always, you know, seemed to hold on to something that allowed her to just be like, to break free, I suppose. The ability to break those chains and to make a hard choice and to just walk away.
He, he's a real survivor. People tell me that I'm a survivor. To me, Mark,
Now, real quick, Juliana, Miss Bittencourt. That's a horrible feeling, even if rationally you know it's not stupidity. You can't help but feel stupid. That's how I felt. But Lydia von Stretchclaw, I'm sorry, Marcus, you weren't stupid. You were used, and that is not your fault. So those two comments are perfect because Miss Bittencourt totally has got what that is exactly how I felt about it, and what Lydia is saying is what people were telling me about it on YouTube in these original videos. There was a real reaction to these videos when I posted them. A lot of comments. They're gone because I pulled everything. Um, what's done is done. I'm sorry. There's a lot of good stuff, but there was also some OSA trolls that were around at that time. So whatever. Party on, Wayne. And Mock, you were conditioned to not think critically and weren't educated by design. You weren't stupid. Right. Um, now, there were lots of things I was good at, and those are the things that I'm still good at, usually. Music, I started very young. Technology, same. Um, Reading, writing, whatever, stuff like that. Um, but not, yeah, not taught certain things for sure. Beachcomber, Scientology doesn't take stupid. People who are stupid have no value to them. That's true. Willie Weed, women are treated as breeders by the Mormons as far as back. Yeah, that's true. Absolutely. Um, and she's a sixth generation Mormon. Um, Commodore says it's your love that makes your grief strong, but it's that love that also works to heal. That's right. I can't argue with that.
I don't know. Thanks for watching. Live long and prosper.
And that was it. Okay. God damn. Okay. Oh, that it's like ripping out a toenail or something. Uh, so where's the fucking music? Um, if Cynthia isn't isn't dedicated and loyal and trustworthy, I don't know what is. Honestly, don't know what is. I give up. Um, had some music at the beginning. Most of y'all probably missed it, but you can catch it if you watch it later. Um, I've got the. Let me just. Was this the live performance? No, it's not. Um, hmm. You know, there's a video on Facebook that I might be able to find of a performance of a song I wrote called Preacher Man. Uh, and that might be a good one. Yeah, here we go. I pause that, get the sound on. All right, full screen. This is a band I was in. That's me right there in the back right corner. And one of my good friends, known most of my life, he was there short. I mean, he was around when I found out about Travis. So we have a lot of shared trauma and stuff throughout our lives. So great songwriter too. But this was a song I wrote that we did with Band of Sinners in 2016 or 2015, something like that.
Preacher Man. Another one of Mr. Sawyer's. I'm just gonna say, I hope you've enjoyed the set thus far. We're gonna take it a little darker.
We're gonna go to church.
A little heavier for this one.
Yeah, Mr. Court Hot.
That's Lambert. That's Court Lambert.
Damn it.
Click away from the screen, it stops the video.
personally would like to thank everybody in this band for allowing me to play with y'all. I have a lot of fun doing it. Scary, you want to talk? Man, thank y'all so much for coming out and sticking around. We're sinners. You don't know? Act like you know. Check us out on the internet, Facebook, Instagram. Come next week, we'll be on Spotify, iTunes, and all that stuff. And we live in the future. The future is weird. So, I want to thank Move Around for Brian Hagar, the best sound man I know, the best damn bartenders in town. You guys have been rad. Like, yeah, y'all stuck around for all of this, and we got weird a couple times. We're still doing it, technically. We're still getting weird. So thank y'all so much. Again, we're sinners. Thanks to Durwood, who we're going to start tearing up the South with real soon. Yeah. Y'all just keep your eyes open.